One, 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 two, three, one. Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1. Hello and welcome to another session of our online training. My name is Michael. I'm from LED Strip Studio, and today I would like to talk about the software that we are developing that is called LED Strip Studio software. Please, if you have any questions, let me know in the chat on YouTube, and mainly let me know first if you can hear me properly. Hopefully the sound is okay and you can hear everything that I am saying. As I said, if you will have any questions, please let me know in the chat and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. I have prepared a short presentation about what I'm going to talk about, which will be the software, how to create the show, how to create the mapping, that is how to draw everything in the software, mainly the strips that represent. Hey, hi Gaston, hi Bert. Hello everyone. Great, thank you. So how to do the mapping? The mapping process is how you've installed everything in the real space and how to put it into the software. I will show you how you can create different types of effects and how to use any kind of video as an effect that you can play from the software onto your LED strips. And also I will talk about a little bit about show synchronization, that was a hard one, and how to use a time code, which is a very popular option to synchronize multiple stage lights on any kind of event. I think that we can start. So our motto, the motto of LED Strip Studio, is that you can turn anything into an LED screen. A good example for that is this Chevrolet Camaro, or at least I think it's Chevrolet, yes it is. And we've turned this car into an LED screen a couple of years ago, and we've played some nice video onto this car. We've used a lot of LED strips actually, and a bunch of LEC3 controllers, which is the device that I will be also using today to play the content on my LED panel that I have here. Very briefly about the hardware that I am using today. It's called LEC3, that is short for LED Ethernet Controller 3. It is a powerful device which can control up to 4096 RGB pixels. This is very important because it means that you can control 4096 RGB pixels. If you want to control, for example, RGBW pixels, then the number is decreased significantly. For those of you who are working with ArtNet regularly or are from this part of the business, it means 24 full ArtNet universes. It has 4 SPI outputs, which you can see on the rear, and those 4 outputs can have different ICs selected. You can have different chips that your LED strips have, so you can combine multiple strips. The device has a built-in web configuration, which is basically a HTTP page or HTML page where you can do all the settings in regards to the device. This is also a very powerful tool which you have to visit to set up what is the color order of your strip, what strip you are actually using. There are a bunch of settings for autoplay, and overall you can do every setting imaginable. The control options for this device is software, obviously. That's what I'm going to talk about today. You can also use DMX to trigger the effects that are stored on an SD card, or you can use HTTP triggers. You can use ArtNet to control the content, and overall it is a pretty versatile device that you can use for all kinds of installations or kinds of projects, whether it is a standalone application or live control, for example, for events. As I mentioned, the device has 4 outputs, and those outputs you can decide how you will basically use them. For example, first output you can use for 3-channel strip, that is RGB strip. A nice feature of the device is that you can also output DMX data, so you can connect your analog dimmers to the output and combine digital and analog strip. And as I mentioned, the maximum is 4096, so you can divide it however you want. 100 pixels for the first output, 700 for the second, and yeah, basically however you want. This would be the typical connection scheme for your device or for multiple devices. You have the PC, and the software is currently only running on Windows PCs. You would have a PC, then an Ethernet switch, and to that switch you have multiple controllers connected, and you are controlling the content live from your software. And you can have as many controllers connected to a single software as you want, basically. There is no upper limit. We've done installations where we use over 200,000 pixels, and I'm pretty sure we can go even higher. So this would be the connection scheme. If there are any questions in regards to this, write them in the chat. Now into the topic that we are here today, basically. LED Strip Studio software and what is the typical usage. As I mentioned, it is your mapping software, so you will do the mapping, you will draw everything, every single strip that you've installed in real space in the software, and then you will play the content onto those strips from the software. There are a bunch of different effects that you can play from the software, or you can use any kind of video, for example, or you can create your own effects. There is an animation library of over 100 effects that you can take straight away, apply them onto your strips, and then if you want to tweak with the effects, you can then create your own. We are also using the software for our LED dance costume performances. We are traveling around the world with LED costumes, with shows that are synchronized to music. For that, we are also using our software. The most important thing, how to start with any show creation or any effect creation in the software, is the mapping. I will jump into the software. Once you install the software, this is how it basically looks. This is a blank project, and as you can see in here in the preview, there is a demo watermark. That is because I currently don't have any controller connected to my software. In case of LEC3 controller, this controller serves as a hardware key for your software. So once you will search for the device on the network and you will connect to it, the demo watermark will be gone and you can play the content. A different approach would be to use ArtNet license. So yes, you can use the software with third-party controllers that are capable of working with ArtNet. In that case, also the demo watermark will be gone. If you will purchase, for example, in here, the license for any number of ArtNet universes that you basically need and want for your project, and you can then upscale. So if you will need only 7 universes for your first project, and then after a couple of months you'll find out that you need more, you can always upscale, purchase more universes, and you are good to go. A brief overview of the software. This would be your bank of effects. So any effect that you create will be displayed over here with a preview of the effect, so that you can select with a mouse which effect you want to play. In here we've got a preview, so any effect that you are actually playing will be displayed over here. Down we've got live controls, and these are used to control the effects that you are playing live. So you can change the brightness of the effect, the speed of the animation that is actually playing, fade duration between the effects. So if I would have multiple effects in here, the fade duration actually sets what will be the fade between the two effects. You can use your mouse to change the values. A right click will always go back to a default position, or you can use a mouse wheel to also change any value that you want to your desired value. These you can use to recolor the effect that you've created. So let's say you've created a white effect, and suddenly you change your mind, or your client change your mind, and you want to recolor it red. So you will move with the sliders in here to change the color. Very simply, you will change the color. These are not saved. These are only used to live control the effects that you are actually using. Then we've got a window for shows, and I will talk about how to create a show, and then a show synchronization, where you will select your timecode source, or where you will select the music, the song that you want to create the show to. Up here we've got a what we call a ribbon, and in here you've got obviously, if you want to save the project, or if you want to open a project that you've been working on previously, we've got copy paste functions, mapping window, which will open a new section of the software where you will actually create the mapping. If you want to have multiple banks with multiple effects, then you can simply click on add bank, and it will add new bank of effects, which you can rename however you want, and this will help you organize the effects that you have actually created. Then we've got a window where you can create different effects, different scenes. We've got strip effect, video effect, and a multi-effect. Multi-effect means that you can combine multiple different effects, so that is a strip effect or a video effect into one combined effect. If you want to create a show, you will simply click on add show, and a timeline will appear down here. If you want to change the settings, if you want to change the settings of the software, or the control options for the software, you will go into controls, and there you will select, okay, for this I want to use ArtNet to control my software. So you will simply click use ArtNet, and you will select with which channel you want to control which aspect of the animation, for example, brightness, or you want to select a specific scene with ArtNet, or you want to change a speed of the effect playing. Similarly, you can use DMX to control the software that you would do in DMX in. And again, you are using 7 channels to control 7 aspects of the animations of the effects that you are actually using, where you can also set up the fade between the effects. So not only in live controls, but you can also set up this fade between different effects over here, or you can use special commands where you will set up which DMX channel controls. For example, I want to play a specific scene from my bank with a specific DMX channel. So you will select scene from bank 2, scene number 4, for example. And then whatever DMX signal source you are using, you can use it to control the software and what is actually playing from the software. So these are the special commands. For those working with MIDI keyboards or MIDI pads, you can also use MIDI. If I would have some MIDI panel connected, it would appear over here, and then you can, for example, set to a specific button what effect will play, or with a knob you can change the speed of the animation or the brightness. It's really up to you. The creative possibilities are pretty wide. If you want to use a keyboard to control the effects, you can also do this over here. So for example, I want to set my L key to play a specific scene from bank 2, scene number 2. And now if I will press L, it will play the effect. So very simple. If you want to use the keyboard, here is an option to do so. If you want to change the settings of your workspace, you can do it over here. So for example, the scene previews right now in the software are pretty small. So I can go into workspace settings and I can set that I want these to be double the size. So that way it will help me to organize the effects and perhaps also switch between the effects if I need, if for example you have a small monitor. And I think that's it for the controls. If you need to find any setting or you're struggling with any setting, then I can only recommend a knowledge base, which is in the software, where you can use search, and this can greatly help you with setting up the effects or scenes or whatever you might actually need. And if you want to have a quick chat with us, you can click on online meeting and you can set up a Zoom call. We are always trying to help customers with their projects. So if you need a free consultation with us, don't hesitate to click in here. It will take you to our calendar on our page, and you can schedule a meeting with us where we will be able to help you with any kind of project, basically. In View, for example, you can display a video preview. This is for video scenes that you want to play. So if you want to see in full the video that you are playing onto your LED strips, you can have the video preview on. And if you, for example, changed the layout of your windows in the software, you can always hit reset window layout, and that way it will go back into the default. And from time to time this happens to clients, so it's good to know that in View panel you can reset the window layout. In Tools, this is mainly for those installations that are standalone. So you create a bunch of effects and you want to export those effects onto an SD card and then use DMX, ArtNet, HTTP triggers, buttons, whatever means to trigger those effects. So you don't have a software running, but rather you have some standalone project. So in Tools, you will export your effects onto an SD card, and you can either export the whole bank of effects. You can export a show, which will behave as a single effect onto a card, or you can select a single scene that you want to export onto your card. So this is it's very important that you export this file type, LN2, which is for digital strips. If you want to export effects for analog strips, classic RGB, dump strips, then you would use LDN file format, which is for analog strips. If you want to create a visualization, let's say you have a client and they can't really imagine how, for example, their building will look like or their club will look like. You can create a simple mapping in the software of with a photo, for example, of that building, and you can render a video for the client, and you can showcase how it might look if they will give the job to you, and how awesome it can actually look. I think this is covered, and we can go we can go into the mapping, which is the most important part of the software. If there are any questions, it's a good time to ask them now. But if not, then I will continue with the mapping window. So once you will click on mapping, a new window will appear, and in here we've got again several different windows. In Strip Editor, you are drawing your strips. You can think about the software as a Paint, Microsoft Paint tool, where you are drawing your strips, and you are not limited to drawing only straight lines, but you can make curves. We used to say that LED strips are great whenever you have a surface that is not straight. You want to cover, for example, something that is bent with LED pixels. For that, LED strips are great, but without an option to actually bend them in the mapping, it would be useless. So you can create curves, and that I will show you in a second. In here, we've got a list of our LED strips, and this would be the list of your devices that are on the network. And in LED strip settings, you are setting up how many pixels there are in your strip, and you can also rename your strips. Let's say that I want to add a new digital strip, and there is an option to also add an analog strip, but we are not today working with this type of strip. We are only working with digital strips. So you will click on Add New Digital Strip. You can create as many digital strips as you like. And this first digital strip with a plus icon will look like this. It is a simple line, pretty straightforward, right? You will simply draw it. If I will go back, again, with a plus button, you will draw a line. And this first line is your first digital strip. This strip you have to assign to a specific controller that you have on the network. For that, you will use, for example, the search icon, or if you know the IP of the device that you are working with, you can hit a plus button and you can type in the IP. Typical IP range or typical IP looks like this, and the default for LEC3 is always ending with 147. You can see immediately a green icon which says that the software is connected to my device, and also from the preview the demo is now gone. That means that the software found the device and you can play the content on it after you will finish the mapping. So we've created the first digital strip, we have drawn a line, and we can then drag and drop it onto our controller, which has this IP. If you need, for whatever reason, to change the IP completely, you can click on this little icon over here. Maybe I can move this a bit. You can click on this little icon over here and you can change the IP range completely. How to assign the strip? Drag and drop. Simple as that. What does it mean right now over here? My first strip is going into my first output. You can change the output by the two little arrows over here. So right now my first strip would go to my second output. Once you assign the strip into your controller, you can change what is the strip type that you are using. Currently we are supporting over 52 different strip types, different ICs, and the number is growing. And whenever you have a strip type that you can't actually find in the list, you can always send us a message and we can add a support for basically any kind of digital strip that you need for your project. I was talking about the web config before, which is a very important tool where you can do all the settings, and one of the things that you can find in that web config is the full list of strips that are currently supported. So I will just quickly go into our web config. In here you can see all the settings, and if I will, for example, go into all settings here, you can see the outputs, what are the currently used strip types or ICs for any individual output. And if you want to see the full list, you will click on this little icon over here, and you can see full list of strips that are currently supported. In the software, you can select this strip type, and all these will actually work with this. It is because they are basically the same protocol. So don't worry if you can't really find, for example, this strip type in the software. Go into the web config and search for the strip type. You will be able to see that it is actually hidden under this protocol. Back into the mapping, you can see that this strip type, as it is the most commonly used, is already selected also here. You've assigned your strip into your first controller, and you want to set how many pixels there are in this strip. So you will select it with a black arrow, and you will go into curve LEDs. And in curve LEDs, you are setting up how many pixels there are in your strip. So I want to set this to 32. And I want to rename this first strip. Another important setting that you can do in here in the software and also in the web config is the color order of your pixel. You might know that each LED pixel that you have on your strip actually has 3 LEDs, and those LEDs can be connected like RGB. So the flow is red, green, and blue. But it can be also GRB or VGR. So in here, again, simple drag and drop. This is very common in the software. Drag and drop will change the color order of your pixel. Once we have this set up, we can go into our effects and we can create a simple effect. I will delete these two to show you again how to create the effect. So in scenes, you can select strip effect, video effect, or multi-effect. And we will start with a simple strip effect. I will hit add strip, and with this little icon, I will open a window where you can set up which effect you actually want to use. In here, I have my strip that I have drawn, and I can go into an animation library where I can choose from the animation library an effect that I want to use for my strip. And with a plus icon, I will add that effect. I will change the view. This is the panel that I am working with today. It has 1024 pixels in it. So that is actually the maximum for one output. And you can see that the effect is currently playing on my first line that I have drawn. Number 32 I did not select just randomly. It is the number of pixels in my first line. I will do one more thing. Decrease the size of me in this so that you can see properly the whole line. Currently, the effect that is playing is a little bit off. And if you can spot it, good for you. I will jump back into the software. The effect that I have selected does not have green in it. It has red. So now is the time in the software, in the mapping, to change the color order, because apparently it's not set up properly. I can't make this straight. Okay. So I can go into the mapping, and for my first strip, I can change the color order. This is more like it. Yep, so this is very important to set up the color order properly, so that the content that you are actually creating will be displayed properly. There is a good practice whenever you connect your sorry whenever you connect your strip to your controller. First do the test or play the test pattern from the web config, and I can do it right now. Play the color pattern. Test will always take over the software since it has priority over the software. You can hit, for example, red or green, which is not correct, so you can change the color order over here, but the setting will, if you are playing the content from the software, then it takes the settings from the software. If you play the content from the SD card, then it is taking the settings from the web config. But you can play the effects, play the test patterns, and you can find out that, okay, my color order is not RGB, but rather GRB, so you can set that up in the software. And the effect is, as you can see, playing. We'll go back into the mapping. So I have drawn my first strip, and I can continue with creating more strips. I know that my single line has 32 pixels in it, so I can draw my second line that will represent second line on the panel, and I can assign it into a controller. However, since I am using this panel, which is connected to only one output, to a single output, I cannot assign this strip as I did right now, because what does this mean? My second strip is going into second output. Obviously, I am not using two output, I am only using one output. So rather than drag and dropping onto a controller the strip, I will drag and drop it onto my strip, and that will create a group. Group 1 means output 1. And I can continue. I will draw a third line, assign it to my group. And as you can see, the color order is off for the strips that I have added, so I can change the color order for the whole group at once. I will simply select a group, and I will use this color order, and you can see it changed for all the strips in that I am actually using. A nice feature of the software is that whenever you create a new strip, it remembers the value in curve LEDs. It remembers the value that you've previously inputted. So if we have something as simple as this panel, you can draw the strips, and it will put in the value that you've set up before. Although this is a nice way how to create your strips, if we have such panel, we can, it will take us too much time to actually draw this one by one. So what you can do is, and we can actually play an effect over everything. If I will open the scene, I know that I have one effect on my first strip, and with simple drag and drop, I will add it onto my second strips. Maybe you are able to spot that there is something off onto this, and maybe you can tell me what it is in the chat and what maybe I should rectify. But back into the mapping. Let's see if someone spotted it. Not yet, but I'm sure that you will manage, and I will rectify it. So I have now 3 strips created, and I've done these one by one, which can take a lot of time if you have a panel such as this one. I will delete these, and I will draw multiple lines at once. For that, I will create a new strip, and I will call it multiple lines. Rather than using the plus button, I will click on Add Basic Shape, where you can, for example, draw a circle, a rectangle, or something a bit more complex, or you can draw multiple vertical lines. So I will click on vertical lines, and just like this, I will draw the remaining lines that are in here. I have 3 already, so that would be 29, I think. 29, 30, 31, 32. Yes, a number of LEDs or a number of pixels in each line would be 32. And this, still, we are only working with one output, so I will assign it into my group. And you can see it's here. I will just change the color order. And now I can create a video effect. No, I will still use the strip effect because this will nicely illustrate the level of control that you have whenever you are drawing the lines one by one, or if you draw multiple lines with the strip effect, that is. If I will now take the effect that I have put onto the strip and drag and drop it, you can see that only that effect is actually playing on the multiple lines that I have drawn are now behaving as a single strip. So that effect is stretched onto the lines that I have actually drawn. And this will be always the case with the strip effect. If you want to avoid this, if you want to have a level of control that you can control the effect line by line, then you draw the strips one by one. If you are okay to play only single effect over your strips, then you can draw multiple strips at once and you can play an effect. I mentioned that this is the case of the strip effect. However, if you create a video effect, and you can nicely see that, by the way, in the preview, that strip effect is playing individually on these lines. However, on this, it's playing as it is only one pixel strip, which actually it is. But for the video effect, this is not the case, because in video effect, you are creating a layer that is covering everything, that is covering your whole area. So I will go into Add Layer, and I will select Color Effect. There are a bunch of other options in the video effect. You can use any kind of image that you can play on your digital strips, which is kind of boring, but you can do it. You can use NDI, that is to send the content from different PC into LED Strip Studio software over a network. And you can use a screen grabber, that is, you can grab a portion of your screen and send it to your LED strips. Spout, that is to send the content from one software to another on the same PC, or you can play a text, or you can use any kind of video. But we want to test now the color effects. It will add a layer, and you can see that this effect is currently playing over my LED strips. Sorry. This layer you can change however you want. You can change its size, and you can only play the effect on a small portion of your panel. And you can use the animation library. In here it's called palettes. So you will go into choose palette, and this is the effect that we've used previously. You will simply select it, and it will play on your LED pixels. And as you can see, the color order on this is still off. So we can go back into the mapping, and once again change the color order for the whole group. And now it's displayed properly on my LED panel. So this is the basic coverage of the mapping, and now onto there are a lot of other tools that you can use. I recommend to go into our YouTube channel where you already are, and you can find out how to curve your straight line so that it will, for example, represent the strip that you've installed that is actually bent. And a lot of other tools in here that are available for you to draw everything as close to reality as possible, how you've installed it. We've done the mapping, and I will quickly show you now how to create a show. We've already added one show, but we can repeat it. So I will delete this one. If you want to create a show and synchronize that show to a music, you will go into shows, click on add. Sorry, I just remembered that there is a chat. So let's see if there is any question. Is there also an option to control VLED? I think that with VLED you are using some libraries. No, like it's somehow I'm somehow familiar with it, but basically you can't, right? You can't use the libraries that you are using in VLED with the software, and I don't know what this means. One of the strips you have changed the direction. Bert, you found out. Yes, you have to change the direction of the signal. And in the mapping, and this one will show you. In the mapping, and then I will go into show. In the mapping, you can select your strip, and this little arrow over here shows the signal flow. And if you ever worked with LED strips, there is a little arrow on that which is showing you the signal flow. So you have to make sure that you have drawn the strip as you have actually installed it. And I know that for this particular strip that I have drawn, you have to flip it. And for that, you can use this little tool, and it will flip the direction of the signal. Yeah, because on the panel, the signal goes zigzag. You can, of course, select multiple strips and change the direction for all of those at once. Yeah, so you've spotted it. Good job. Back onto the show. I have added a show, and this window appeared over here, which is basically my timeline. I can now take the strip or take the effect sorry, and place it onto a timeline. Now whenever I will hit play, it will play the effect and every subsequent effect that is on the timeline. If I want to make the effect longer, I will right click on it and I will stretch it. You can see down here the time, so I want this effect to be exactly or as close as possible to 4 seconds, and now it will play for 4 seconds. I can create multiple effects. So for example, I will go into the color effect. I will select another. And another. Yes, by the way, I'm using right click in here, so that will open the window to the setting window for the video scene. I will again add layer. I will select again my color effect, but this time I won't use linear gradient, but I will use, for example, this one. And these I will place onto my timeline. And like this, I will create a very simple show. This show you can use as a single effect, right? So you can go into tools, you can export the show, and it will be a single effect on an SD card, so you can play that effect. What we are using the show mostly is to create, we are using it for our LED dance costumes. But for that, we want to synchronize them with music. So we will go into, let's see if you can actually see this. We can move this window a bit. To add your music onto the timeline or your song, you will have this window here, Show Synchronization. You will click on Audio and you will select the song that you want. I have this one prepared over here. Once you will open it, it depends whether it is a WAV file or an MP3, but the software, if it's an MP3, software will convert it to the format that it actually needs. And once you will open it, you will be able to see, I have to put the little down the volume a little bit, and you will be able to see the waveform of the song that you have put in there. And the waveform is great because you can program the effects exactly to the beat. Let's say I want to put this effect to play only on this little part. I can always zoom in. So you hold Control and you zoom in, and the effect will play only on this little part. You can see a little preview and of the music that is actually playing, so that you can tell whether you are off or on. And like this, you can create a show synchronized to music. And let's see if there is any question. Okay, we have 10 more minutes, which is nice. No questions. If I will play this now. And like this, you can create your show synchronized to music. Very often, and this is from experience, whenever we go on a show or an event with our LED costumes, people there want us to sync that show with some other stage lights, with some other equipment that they have there, or some other performances. For that, you are using a time code. And I have one on the table here, or actually two time codes. and I'm using this one as my generator, and this is a little bit more advanced device. So I can show you, once I will plug this in, what will appear in the software. So right now it's showing the waveform of the song, but once I will plug in the time code, and I will start a generator. I can now select in the software which timecode or which source I want to use for my show. And the timecode is already generating the time. So if I will select, for example, this MIDI device, and that the larger timecode that I showed you, great advantage is that you can have two sources, and you can see that it is already receiving the time from my source, from my generator, and you can see the incoming time here. So that way you can tell whether everything is set up properly. Important thing is, whenever you want to play the show by using the timecode, you have to hit play. And as you can see, the time on your timeline and also the time incoming from the timecode is displayed both here and over here. You can set up at which time you want to start the show. So for example, we are already over 1 minute. So if I will select 1 minute and 25 seconds, once it will hit that mark, it will start to play my show that I have created in the software. As it is now, the audio is not playing from the software, but rather it is played from some different source. But this is pretty standard, right? You are not using our software to play the audio, but you are using some other kind of source, and you are only playing the show from the software. And remember, it is very important whenever you want to use the timecode in the software to hit that play button so that it will actually start to receive the timecode. Are there any questions in regards to timecode, how to program the show perhaps, or how to create the effects? Make sure to write them in the chat, or let us know in an email, WhatsApp. We have a lot of different channels where you can actually contact us, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. I think that this covered briefly how you can create the effects, how you can work with the software, and what are the options. Oh, there is one more option that I forgot to show you. I've told you that you can use any kind of video as an effect. So I will very quickly show you that. I have prepared one video here, and if I will simply drag and drop it into the software will convert that video to a format that it is using. And like this, you can create, or you can use any kind of video for your LED pixels. And I think that's it. That's really it. And thank you very much for joining. Oh yeah, next week I will be talking about our hardware. So for example, I will go a little bit more into detail of what this device is capable of. although I will repeat some things, I will go a bit more into detail. What you can do with this device. I will also show you our other controllers, that is SPI matrix, which is a ArtNet converter. I will talk about Reactivo, which is our smallest ArtNet converter, and where you can hook up different sensors. And I will also explain how our dimmers for our bulbs work. So if you're interested to find out more about our hardware, this time, not the software, then make sure to join same time next week on our YouTube channel about this. And week after that, I will talk about ArtNet, how to use ArtNet to create the mapping, to use it with our software. And then I will talk about SPI lamps. So in January, we'll have a total of 4 different online sessions about our stuff and what we do. And one last check whether there is any question. What is the slave label on it? If you want to synchronize multiple controllers in a standalone mode, then you would have one master device, which will basically send the synchronization data to your slave controllers. They are listening to what the master controller is actually doing or sending. So this is for a case where you have where you are not using the software, but rather you are using these controllers as standalone players for the content that you've created in the software. And the synchronization over multiple controllers is working then flawlessly. You can use as many controllers as you want, and any effect that you will play over it will display properly. And is it possible in future to synchronize with the bridge for Pioneer? I remember that there was some time ago a use case for this. We have some cooperation with a DJ, and I can only tell that it's not as simple as we thought. So, and I think that from model to model, the control settings are different. So, but if you have a use case where you really want this, send us an email, and perhaps we'll be able to do something with this. But as I said, I remember that in the past there was such a use case, but it did not go basically anywhere. Yeah. I'm looking forward to meet you on some other online sessions that we will have. If you have any questions, write us a message. Thanks again, and see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.